Stop talk. Yeah, we keeping it smooth. Your favorite paralegal got the legal groove. From the stars in the courtroom to your cousin's case, we breaking it all down. No rush, just pace. Hey fam, welcome back. All right, so we are on part 2 of the June 4th opening statements, and we are going to get into it. But before we do, I do want to go over some things. Now, I know there is a lot of people who believe that the transcripts were possibly altered, and given this high profile case, that there should have been extra security to ensure that the transcription was accurate as far as having audio or video for a backup. Now, given my experience with working with court reporters in hearings and in depositions and other things of that nature, sometimes we do request. Now, this is for me and the attorneys that I contract with. If it is like one of a major case, like for instance, in the personal injury world, when we're dealing with truck wrecks, if we have a deposition of the defendant, then normally, in addition to having a court reporter, we will also have a videographer present. And that's just to, just I don't know how to explain it, just kind of like you're reassuring, right? And I trust me, I get it. But knowing the process of a court reporter, I'm telling you guys that I don't see where the transcript can be altered because of the process once it is typed up, how it's downloaded, how the transcriptions go to the the both parties, the attorneys for review and accuracy. It also goes to the judge, and if any changes need to be made, there has to be a hearing, so on and so forth. So there's a whole process in it. Now, this is just from my experience as a paralegal in this field dealing with court reporters. And I know it's kind of hard to say, well, this is a high profile case and, he was railroaded. I'm just saying, as my experience in this field, I have never seen, even in the most complex cases where we feel like, okay, the defendant was railroaded, never have I seen a transcript being altered based off of how the transcript or how the court reporter is transcribing. When they're typing, it. I really need to contact my friend so she can come on here, because she does court reporting for both the state and federal government. So that's neither here nor there. But let's get back into this. Yesterday, we kind of went through the opening statements for both the state and the defense. We talked about how who is that Porter that was on the stand? He is the forensic individual when it comes to like videos and stuff like that. And we have confirmed that even he said that he can track using motion, if that makes sense. He described the suspect as wearing a light top with dark bottoms and so on and so forth. But even the video that was shown in the court was the same video that we all see. And, even playing it on a 4K TV, even in the courtroom, you can't really tell what was happening up under the tent. You see movement, but you cannot say, okay, this is him, this is him, this is him, this is her, this is her, this is where he was sitting, so on and so forth. They had to use witness testimony in order to confirm the events up under the tape. But the video itself did not have a clear video of what transpired under the tent. And I'm about to call him the videographer. The forensic specialist pretty much stated that, and he talked about how they do things in order. They take the suspect and they take the victim, and that's who they're looking for in the video. And he talked about zooming in. He talked about what happens when you zoom in. He talked about a lot of stuff. Okay, and it made sense. So overall, if we zoomed in, it was blurry. If we look at it in its normal capacity, you can't really see anything because it was too far away. The only thing that we can see is somebody coming out of the tent, running down the bleachers, and taking off running. We see a lot of commotion. That's the only thing we can confirm, right? This case. All right. So back to this, and like I said, I have to read this like we're reading a book because it has to make sense to me, right? It got to make sense to me. Okay, I gotta stop checking my email. All right, so we left off where they went to a 45-minute recess. All right, bailiff. All right, the court. Everyone be seated, please. Bring in the witness, please. Mr. Howard, I don't think Worski is in the room, and I believe we need to put something on record. The court. We did, and I actually told him that I would give him a minute, and then I forgot. All right, hey, is the state ready? Mr. Mitchell, the state is ready. The court, is defense ready? Mr. Howard, yes, Your Honor. The court, bring in the jury, please. Mr. Worski, can we put something on record real quick? The court, oh, sure. Hey, I am not ready. I'm not ready. Mr. Worski, Judge, I am here with counsel for the defense, and we will both like to invoke the rule in this case. Mr. Howard, agreed. Mr. Worski, I will represent to the court that myself and opposing counsel worked out an agreement whereby respective sets of parents will be exempt from the rule, and we've agreed to allow those 4 individuals to stay in the courtroom. The court, okay, Mr. Howard, is that your agreement? Mr. Howard, that is our agreement, Judge. The court, thank you. I will announce that on the record. Mr. Howard, thank you, Judge. The court, ladies and gentlemen, the rule of sequestration has been invoked. And that means if you are going to be witnesses in this case, you cannot be in the courtroom or be within the presence of anyone discussing this case. I am ready. The bailiff, all rise. The court, remain standing until I tell you to sit down, please. So the jury was present in the court. Everyone be seated. All right. I can't see part of y'all the way the setup is. I apologize for that. We are ready to continue the direct examination by the state of this witness, Mr. Mitchell. And Mr. Mitchell, and Your Honor, may I have permission to move my chair so I can see this? The court, and the defense can too. Yes. Mr. Howard, thank you, Judge. All right, so now we're going back to questioning the forensic video specialist. Mr. Porter, when we left off before lunch, I think we were talking about the enhancement videos that you created in this case. That is correct. The court, okay, but you still have to speak into your microphone even though you are at the end. And this is the prosecution. And with regards to those videos, you were given, based on this case, you were given photos of the suspect, Karmelo Anthony. Yes. And photos of, then the court interrupts again. Thank you, Mr. Rollins. Back to prosecution. You were giving photos of the suspect, Karmelo Anthony, and the victim and his twin brother, Austin and Hunter Metcalf, correct? And you told the jury you were able to magnify in all the videos and spotlight in some of the videos during the relevant portions. Is that correct? Yes, sir. So with your enhanced videos, did you try to, you had mentioned, sometimes when we zoom in too much, we start to lose clarity. Did you try to find that happy medium? Yes, I did. All right. I would like to start with State's Exhibit 10, kind of start where we started the first time the jury got to see these videos on the west side of the bleachers, where we see Karmelo Anthony first walk in from the entrance. Yes, but seated where I am, I cannot see the display. Mr. Mitchell, judge made the witness stand up so he can. The court says he can stand up and he can walk down if he wants. Mr. Mitchell, okay, thank you. The court, just try not to turn your back to the jury. The witness, I don't want to stand in front of them as well. The court, stand over here and turn your back towards me. There you go. All right, Mr. Porter, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 10. If you would, could you orient the jury to what we are looking at? State Exhibit 10 is basically a zoomed in version of the Westfield camera. The witness, can you hear me okay? The court, no. We are going to get you a microphone. Mr. Howard is handing it to you. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, yes, sir. The court, try it again. The witness, test 1, 2. The court, yes, sir. And Mr. Porter, I think the jury members, we actually watched 2 different segments of Carmelo Anthony walking out. One walking out, kind of looking around and going back in. This one actually starts on the second segment where he comes out. Is that correct? That's correct. Now, showing you what's been marked at State's Exhibit 11 and what you were able to do with State's Exhibit 11. State's Exhibit number 11, I applied a magnification filter, not initially, but very soon into the video. And I also applied, I believe, a spotlight filter as well as a magnification filter. And when the magnification filter starts in exhibit number 11, just so that the jury is oriented when it changes focus, where are we going with the magnification? The point of entrance in the magnification filter, would be the upper left-hand portion of the image, the approximate area of the yellow tint in the bleachers. Did you actually start with the victims entering magnified on this one? I don't believe so. I misspoke. I did. Trust me, I've watched it a bunch. Okay. And again, the people of interest, the ones we showed you photos of Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf entering the stadium. That's correct. Starting the video at 3:24, or actually going back 10 seconds to 3:14, right around 3:24 mark, if you could see it, right around that 3:24 mark is the first time I think you described to the jury you can see movement from left to right, kind of those 2 top bleachers. Yes, sir. Hold on, y'all, because I'm telling y'all. Okay. Trying to see if I can pull the video. Let's do this. Yes, sir. Let me ask you that just to orient, because I am going to try not to stop it too many times and let it play. Yes, sir. Underneath the tent, can you actually see 2 rows of bleachers that appear like there is nobody sitting on them, kind of above their heads of the people in the tent? Yes. And is that fair, Mr. Mitchell? May I? The court? You may, but you have to speak really loud. Mr. Mitchell? Yes, Judge. I mean, we see the line. We see does it appear like, I can't tell how. Can you tell how many people are there? I haven't attempted to count them. Can you tell what those people are doing? They appear to be sitting down. But do we also see, I guess, comparing it, we've got some empty bleachers. Did I say bleachers? Bleachers towards the top of the area. Correct. And where are we going to see movement from left to right here in a second underneath the tent? And then the witness, Can I approach the court? Yes. And this is the witness speaking. You will see the movement in the area underneath the tent under the M logo. You will see the bottom portion of a person walk from left to the right. And based on the timing and the direction of Carmelo Anthony from the West video, is it your belief that that's Carmelo Anthony entering the tent? It is. And again, we're dealing with colors. I mean, like squares and not individualized people. But does it appear that individual comes in and sit down, and still again that top part we can see some open area behind him on the bleachers? That's correct. Mr. Porter, watching it, it appears at 5:09, it looks like someone approaches the tent and stands there. And then 5:48, we have someone leave the tent. And now at 5:57, we got someone in what looks to be like a rain slick or yellow jacket approaching the tent from the bottom of the bleachers. Correct. Anybody else coming and going, standing up, jumping around that you've seen other than regular movement? No. All right. I'm going to take us back 10 seconds to 7 minutes and 49 seconds. We talked about Carmelo entering the tent at 3:24 in this video. Now we are at 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Have you seen Mr. Mitchell? Well, first of all, may I approach the court? You may. Do you still see bleachers on top other than maybe the top of the individual or an individual? We still see that area empty? Yes, sir. Have you in the time that we have watched it, have you seen anybody leaving and move up on top, or movement going up to where people are getting behind the area or above those bleacher areas? I have not. What about people coming from the outside, coming from this area and coming down on the top of these bleachers? Coming from right to left? From right to left? No, I did not. What about we are about to see how tall someone is when they get to those bleachers, but any movement from left to right, such as we saw before from the top of the screen? No. Within the screen itself, we're starting to see movement right here. But any movement up, any rapid movement underneath this tent during those minutes that we just watched in some 4.5 minutes? No. Any responses from people around that tent? A head being whipped around or people fleeing that area quickly? Not that I can see. In fact, it looks like casually somebody is leaving. So now we are at the 7:57 marker, and that's when we have what you described to the jury. Yes. Now, do you see a change in everybody's movement starting from this point forward? Yes, they appear to be paying attention to what's occurred. And is this when we start to look above the tent for movement? Yes. Now, when we look above the tent for movement, based on your watching the video, who do we believe that to be? Carmelo Anthony. Now, I asked you, well, do you see people moving around, people moving up or out? Because once that pushback and forth happens, you do see that, right? You can see even blurry people moving in all different directions. So when I asked you, can you see movement underneath the tent? Once that push goes back and forth, can you see movement under the tent? Yes. Do we know what it looks like when those shapes move around, meaning people move around? Correct? So we see people up, we see people moving left and right. So that's what it looks like if we see people moving around underneath that tent. We've got something to compare to. Yes. So what is this? Now we've got, I guess, what you're calling a spotlight. Spotlight, yes. So, from this point forward, what is the jury going to see with regard to the spotlight? The spotlight will continue to follow Mr. Anthony as he goes away from the scene and goes to the other parts of the stadium. Does he appear to go from running to stopping to at some point slowly walking when he starts getting close to what's this? Taking us back, what's this over here to the right side? The area on the right side center image is the entrance to the facility. So, does it appear like once he starts getting towards a group of people, he changes pace? Yes. And I want to back up just a second. 8 minutes 13 on the timer. It looks like fast or slow running. He appears to be running at this point or perhaps jogging. And at this point, I've got you at 8:15. Do you see an individual kind of following behind on the left side of the video? Yes. What does it appear that the individual is doing? He is pointing in the direction of Mr. Anthony. Ms. Mitchell, can I approach Judge? The court, you may. Mr. Porter, I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 13 through 19. Have you seen those previously? Let me see if I can pull those up. Okay. I'm just gonna pull up the exhibits right quick. All right, let's see. And I think that is the PDF, if I'm not mistaken. Audio photos. Oops. Actually, I didn't want to put up the defendants. I don't want to pull up his just yet. Okay. Okay. Y'all just give me a second. I hate when they don't. There we go. All right. So let me go back over here. All right. So we're going to add another screen. Sorry it's taking too long. I'm still here, y'all. I'm just pulling up. Okay. Okay. So we're going to do it like that. I don't like the way, let me see. There we go. Alrighty, let's get back to our transcript. Well, before I do that, so here's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay. All right. So we have that on the screen. Let's get back to our transcript. So he's saying have you seen these previously? He said yes. Okay. And are those actually stills from the video you made just without the spotlight and then pointing out Carmelo Anthony's position and individuals following, chasing, and pointing at him? Yes. We'll offer 13 through 19 at this time, Judge. Mr. Shook, no objection. The court, did you say no objection? Mr. Shook, no objection. The court states 13 through 19 are admitted. Mr. Mitchell, permission to publish, Judge? The court, yes, sir. So, Mr. Porter, looking at States Exhibit 13, that is a still shot from the video that you created for the jury in this case, correct? Oh, correct. And what is displayed in the red circle, it appears to be Mr. Anthony. And what do we see in the yellow circle? An individual pointing in direction of Mr. Anthony. Now, if I move to States Exhibit 14, have we moved further to the right of our image? Moving it for y'all. Yes. What appears to be in the red circle, that appears to be Mr. Anthony. The first yellow circle, the individual pointing in his direction, and the second yellow circle, another individual pointing in that direction. Using that, I don't know what brown kind of building as an anchor point, States Exhibit 15, do we see in the red circle there? It is Mr. Anthony that's progressed closer to the entrance. So we're moving from left to right toward the entrance. And then we do have and what do we have in the yellow circle? Another, it may be the same individual, but it is an individual pointing in his direction. So in each of these photos, we see Mr. Anthony continuing to go right, and at separate points in times, people following pointing. Correct. All right, let me go to 16. Red circle, Mr. Anthony. And yellow circle, person pointing in his direction. All right, using that, I guess that first tree on the right as an anchor, looking at the States Exhibit 17. So pull 17. Now there's a tree. That tree is on the left, and now we got another tree. Have we advanced further down that sidewalk? Yes. What's in the red circle? Mr. Anthony. And what's in the yellow circle? A person pointing in his direction. I guess you do see that field goal post in the very right edge of the picture. Yes, sir. Moving to States Exhibit 18, what's in the red circle? Let's see. Mr. Anthony. Okay, so as far as from States 17, have we moved further right towards the entrance? Yes. What's in the yellow circle? A person pointing in his direction. And the second yellow circle? It appears to be another person pointing in his direction. States Exhibit number 19. Using the field goal as a reference, we now advanced further right towards the entrance. You can actually see the tent that's set up by the entrance in States 19. Yes. What's in the red circle? It is Mr. Anthony, but he is partially obscured by the goalpost. And what's in the yellow circle? The person pointing in his direction. And the States Exhibit number 20, pull that up for you guys. Has Mr. Anthony moved even further, closer to the entrance now by that tent? Yes. And what's in the yellow circle? At least one person pointing in his direction. Is it fair to say when Mr. Anthony was moving away from the bleachers towards the entrance, there were people following, chasing, and pointing? Yes. We don't know whether they are yelling or not because we won't know from that video. No. And throughout this, is it fair to say with all of the different angles, all of the different videos, once we pass that right around 10 o'clock, 50 seconds on all FISD videos, you just see kids running from all directions trying to get out of that stadium? Yes. I'm going to go back up to 11:04. We only have 4 minutes left on this video. Mr. Porter, you see where you have highlighted Karmelo Anthony? And you do see where that there is an individual in black to his, what I'm going to say, to his right. Yes. Does it appear that person gets upset and throws something onto the track? I really didn't pay any attention to that action. Well, let me ask you. I want you to pay attention to that person. Yes. We talked about it earlier, but now right around 12:30, we got a police officer who arrives and starts escorting Karmelo out of the stadium. Correct. And then he is escorted. Mr. Mitchell. So the court knows I'm letting the video play. I'm not stopping it. But we see him being escorted. Again, is that the same entrance where he was running, slow walking, and being chased? That's again towards that entrance area. And now we are watching the police officer actually take him outside of that entrance. It's funny that they keep saying this because they're trying to make like he was running out of the stadium. Correct, yes. And then finally, Mr. Porter, the last video states Exhibit 12. Where is this? What is this angle from? This is the northeast entrance camera that is coming into the facility. We see Austin Metcalf enter, and then we see his twin brother Hunter come behind him. Hold on, because this is getting to the point. Let me see. What did they say? The northeast camera. I think we looked today, and it's just very, very hard to tell. I should be at my desk, but I'm low key in my room reading this. I want to make sure that everybody sees this. Oh no, I'm going to do it like this. There we go. So this is the zoomed in part. Oh, I'm assuming. Oh, okay, so there's Karmelo right there. So there he is right there. That's the police officers taking him out. And then there he is right here up under the tree. again. That's the tree right there. Ooh, I'm trying to see. Sorry, y'all. Oh, okay. All right. So that's what you call it. All right. So there we go. And then there's the other twin. All right. So we seen that. We seen both of them walk in. All right. Let me get back to reading. All right. So we see Austin Metcalf enter, and then we see his twin brother come behind him. Yes. What just happened in that video? The magnification filter was applied at that point. So that's at 50 seconds into the video. I'm going to do you keep this magnification going through this video, whether we can see something or not on this video just for consistency? Yes. Okay. Is there any useful part, like once we know the victim and his friends and teammates get to the tent, we talk about Karmelo Anthony going from the left side. Is any of that captured on this, or should we, I mean, as far as like usable information, fast forward some to be, you are not going to be able to see any of the actions from this viewpoint at the time. All right, right there at 8:05 on the marker, do we see movement above the tent and the movement coming from out from under the tent? The court, I can't hear you, Mr. Mitchell. I'm sorry. Do we see the movement above the tent and then movement down the tent that matches Karmelo Anthony's movements after the offense? Yes. And at 8:17 we see that the individuals starting to hit the right side of the, yes, jogging into a slow walk with individuals chasing him. Yes. Pointing? Yes. All right, so let me once. I know I have my other little notepad so when we can actually see. I think this was like the 8-minute marker. So at the okay, so y'all see, yeah, did you see Karmelo running? I'm gonna play it back. So look at this area, the top of the tent under this tree. Now technically from here you can't really see anything other than, okay, so I do see somebody run up, then run down, and now running towards this way. See? And then he stops. So he technically stopped and walked. All right, getting back to the transcript. Now, the jury got to see this from that east side view. Once he is intercepted by some coaches, you kind of see him there to the left of the tent being walked. But with regards to being able to follow Karmelo Anthony and see what goes on behind that tent and towards that, I mean, Is it fair to say we lose him for quite a while on this clip? You do. He's behind because everything occurs behind the tent, so he is obscured by it. So again, to get that relevant portion, is it worth fast forwarding some to where he comes back on the camera? Yes. We start to see the exodus of all the kids from the stadium now that we're moving forward in the video. Correct. That is at 12:38, and we start to see the officer and Karmelo rounding that right side underneath the tree. So if we go here, you see him right next to the tree with the officer. I'm just gonna leave it right there. Okay. Let me see. Correct. That is at 12:38, and we start to see the officer and Karmelo rounding that right side of the tree. Let me make sure I'm with. Okay. Yes, sir. And it ends with Carmelo Anthony arrested by the police and being walked out of the stadium. Yes. How long is that video? Approximately 8 minutes, I believe, right there on the bottom left. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It is 15 minutes and 20 seconds. So 15 minutes, 20 seconds for Austin Metcalf to enter that stadium live and Carmelo Anthony to be in handcuffs. Yes, sir. Mr. Mitchell, I will pass the witness. The court, Mr. Shook, do you need the video? Sir, return to the witness stand, please. Mr. Shook, at the moment, yes, Judge. The court. So it is off the state's computer, so if you want to show stuff, he is going to have to help you. Mr. Shook, I would like to ask questions from there. The court. Yeah, that's fine, but I need you to speak up, okay? Mr. Shook, I will be sure to speak up. The court, say that again. Mr. Shook, I will be sure to speak up. The court, where are you going to ask from? Mr. Shook, I can do it, I guess, from where that chair was. The court, that's fine. Get over there and do it. Would it be helpful if you had a lavalier? Mr. Shook, it might. The court, I'm not sure if we can turn them both on at the same time. Mr. Mitchell, the judge, I have turned mine off. The court, okay, fantastic, thank you. All right, so now we're at the cross-examination by Mr. Shook. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Porter. Good afternoon. It has been a while since we have seen each other. Yes, sir. I just wanted to go over a few things, getting back to what you first testified to regarding the video, what you do. Video, I believe that you explained to the jury it's really just a bunch of single photographs taken one after the other. That's what we see. Is that right? Yes, sir. And because it is just a series of photographs, when we are looking at video, we often assume we are seeing everything. But when you look at the video as an expert, you can tell us that there are some frames that are missing, that we don't see a complete movement. Is that right? That can occur, yes. It may be just something real quick, but that could occur. Yes, sir. All right. And then as far as pixels, that sort of thing, as you have explained, when you have a camera that's recording something far off, and as you try to enhance it, you can't enhance it too much or the pixels become too wide and it is just a complete blur. Is that right? Yeah, it degrades the image. And even at its best, for instance, once you enhanced it and what this jury has just seen, movement under the tent, we really can't tell exact movement, what's going on with certainty, the way people are moving, where they may have their hands in front of their body. No, sir. It looks just like a bunch of, primarily if they are in black, then they can see bodies that are dressed in black. And if we see them stand up, we can detect that, correct? Yes, you will be able to see that. When someone sits down, you can probably see that. Yes. If someone starts to move over to the right, we can probably see that. Yes, sir. But as far as if I am sitting down on that video and just talking, we wouldn't necessarily see the hands. Or if I were moving my mouth, can we see that? Can we? No, sir. There was testimony from Mr. Mitchell, or a question from Mr. Mitchell, that when prior to the incident, he asked you, do we see any head whipping around? When he said head whipping, I'm thinking something like, I guess he was doing the movement. And then he said, yes, I took it as someone turning their head to the side in a quick motion. Yes. Would you necessarily at the distance we saw, be able to pick up when someone moves their head like that? It would depend on where they were, the image. I believe you were able to detect that at some point. You believe anytime someone moved their head, you would be able to detect that. Not anytime, at specific times. I would have to look at the video to determine that. Would it depend on how much they whip their head around? That's a possibility, yes. If they simply just turn their head around to look, you wouldn't necessarily be able to pick that up. That's correct. You have limitations, is that right? Yes, sir. You couldn't identify anyone by facial recognition from that images under that tent, could you? No, sir. All right. If someone were in an argument under that tent as they were sitting down with someone who also might be sitting down, would you be able to detect that if they were just arguing with one another? Could you? No. There is no way when you can tell when an argument starts or necessarily when it stops, could you? No, sir. You could detect, obviously, if someone moves their head in and out, if they are talking to each other, that type of thing. Once again, it would depend on how much motion was involved. Mr. Shook, if you could bring up States Exhibit 12, please. So let's go back to 12, y'all. Oh, wait, 12. Wait, 12 is a video. Is 12 a video? I think 12 is a video. Okay. I don't know which camera that is. So we're going to have to just read on. Beginning when you testified that this showed when Austin Metcalf and his brother Hunter had made their way into the stadium. I think this is this video right here where we saw them walking in. Your Honor, can I step down? That's what the witness asked, and the court says, yes, sir. The witness, all right. Do you want to attempt to turn my leveler on and see if we have feedback issues? The court, and let me see if we can do both. The witness, test 1, 2. The court, yeah. Can you repeat the question, sir? Yes. What we are seeing here on the screen is the entrance of the stadium when Metcalf brothers walked into the stadium. Is that correct? Prior to when they go sit down into the stand under the tent. Yes. Mr. Shook, can we move it forward to 429 if we can back it up some right when that becomes enhanced? Oh, I see what they're talking about. All right, so. All right. All right, so let me pause there. All right. Does it appear that the rain is coming down at this time and has picked up? It does. As you were watching these watching these videos, could you tell rain would start up and then lighten up and then start up again throughout the video? Yes. And at this point in time, was it raining heavier than it was at other times? It appears to be yes. You can see a bunch of people gathered under that tent to get out of the rain. Yes. We see someone walking along the track with an umbrella. Yep. Yes. Let's see. And we see some folks coming, walking this way towards the tent, and it looks like they all had umbrellas. Yes, sir. All of that is evidence that the rain is coming down a little bit harder. Yes. We see a couple of people walking in with umbrellas now. Yes. And this is just prior to the Metcalfs as they walked in and made their way up to the tents that was in the bleachers. Is that right? Yes, sir. And they were, once they made it past this point and sat in the bleachers. Did you say it was about 2 minutes before Carmelo Anthony came and sat down under the tent? Approximately, yes. Fair to say that when they were getting under the tent and Carmelo was making his way to the tent, that it appeared to you it was raining and one of the heavier times as you watched and reviewed these videos. I didn't specifically pay attention to the rainfall rate, but that is a possibility, yes. States 11, please. If we could forward to the enhancement portion under the tent, if you could pause that. All right, Your Honor, may I approach the exhibit? Yes. There is some testimony about this seat that extends along with no one sitting on it. Do you recall that? Yes, sir. We see the tent there, the memorial tent with the M on it. Yes. You know, obviously, it is bleachers. They are going up at an angle. Yes. Hold on, let me, because I do have different, does exhibits 1. Let me see what 2 does. Which one am I at? Northeast entry. Okay, let's go back to 1. We can't, maybe this is what they're talking about. Okay, so just hold on because I want to be able to, what's that stating? Okay, so you can't see that one. Let me see what the 4th one does. I think the 4th one shows like the parking lots and stuff. Like these entries, yeah. And I don't know if, let me see, are these the enhanced ones? Oh no, because it says States Exhibit 6 anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this camera here. So yeah, pretty much the same. Wait, how I do that? How did I get back on here? The same camera, the same stuff that we're watching is what the jury watched. And I keep pulling up the same one. That's the west. I need the north. Or the east. My bad. That was the west. Let me pull up the east side. If it'll pull up. All right. I don't know. Doesn't want to pull up today. Okay. All right. If it pulls up, it pulls up. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know what's going on with it. All right. So let's go back here. Okay, we see the tent there, the memorial tent with the M on it. Yes, obviously it is a bleacher. They are going up at an angle. Yes. And that tent is cankered at that angle. Yes. Okay, the question that Mr. Mitchell put forward to you is that this was a bench that was under that tent. Did you do any analysis that showed, or you could tell from looking at the video at this angle, that the tent was over that particular bleacher seat? I did not. Were you asked to do that? No. Tell this jury that this bleacher seat was under the tent, can you? Not with certainty. No. No. And in fact, it could be just outside the bleacher seats. That's a possibility, yes. And if it were outside the bleacher seats, rain would come down on him. Yes. So one reason we may not see anyone on those empty bleacher seats is because it is outside the tent. That's a valid reason, yes. And that's why everyone else where Mr. Anthony sat, so they could get out of the rain. Is that a reasonable deduction from the evidence, as we say? Yes, sir. Mr. Shook, all right. If we could forward it to where the Metcalf brothers came up and get under the tent, please. I'm going to try this one more time. Oh, so now doesn't want to respond. That is very interesting. All right, yeah, I'm trying to pull up the video. But it seems as if my video doesn't want to do it. I mean, it is frozen. And my task manager doesn't want to pull up. There we go. I don't know what's going on with the video part of this. All right, well, while that's put, no, we can just continue. Now, at this point, when they sat down, do you recall how much time it was until you were able to pick up Karmelo Anthony as he walked into view and then sat down at the back of the tent? It was approximately 2 minutes. While we are waiting on that, the jury saw from the other side, other half, I would say, on the other side of where the tent is, that shows Mr. Anthony as he walked towards the memorial tent. There seems to be a gap or a blank space between those two tents from the two cameras. Is that right? I can't determine if the tents are touching or in because of the field of view. I can't see both tents and both images to determine that. But when Mr. Anthony walks to the right and goes out of the camera view, he is down on the walkway. Is that right? He is the field of view of the camera. When you say up, you mean he goes up the bleachers. But would that be on the other side of, I believe, the Liberty tent? Yes. Okay, but as far as what we are seeing now, you can't see him as he goes up the bleachers or the path he took. It was just seeing him appear as he comes along the backside. It is that right? That's correct. Is that him coming into view? So they're showing the video in which he was when he comes into the top of the video of the tent, and you see him running up the bleachers and then he runs down. That's what they're referring to. That is what they are referring to. Okay, now it's pulling up. Um, this is the video that they're talking about. So this, as you can see, you can see them walking to. Oh, y'all know what? I just realized I didn't have it on screen. Y'all probably like, wait, what? Hold up. Now I gotta run it back. I'm so sorry, y'all. Let me just make sure it's on the screen. Because I'm up here looking at it and y'all probably like, what is she talking about? All right. So this is what they're talking about. So this is when the Metcalf brothers were walking in. They're like in the middle of the screen. And I'm letting it play so y'all can actually see. All right, so we see them coming in, going up to go sit in the bleachers. Okay. And I'm gonna let that play while I read this. All right, Mr. Schick said, could we pause it, please? Does it appear that he is seated right in this area? He said it does. And you call it a lighter colored garment, but if it is gray, would you qualify as a lighter colored garment? Is that correct? Yes, sir. And it does appear that he is sitting close to someone. Can you point that out? Yes, it does in that area. All right, so let me go back because I want to see exactly at what point he comes. Try to see at what part he comes. Because I know he said in approximately like 2. Okay, so that's when he ran out the tent. So it had to be at some point. All right, because they come walking there. So it had to be some point between then, because it's just like, okay, where did he come and sit down at? All right, let me keep reading. Pretty sure y'all can see that. All right, seating next to each other in very close proximity, yes. Does it appear that he sat near one of the Metcalf brothers that sat down in this area? You will have to, if they sat on a bleacher lower, would he be behind them, in other words? Yes. If one of the other Metcalf brothers went to this area, then they would be to his right if he is looking at the field. Is that right? Yes. You can't tell us how many people are under the memorial tent, but there is a good group of people there. Yes, Mr. Shook. All right. If we could play that forward, please. Keeping an eye on where Mr. Anthony was seated, can it or does it look as if his head is moving at times as if he might be talking to the person next to him? Like for me, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I would not be able to tell. I wouldn't. I would not be able to tell. I mean, you can see movement. Like there's like one, two, three people. You can see movement there, but I can't tell. Let me keep on reading. I am going to let me see where it says. Da, 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 da. I see that person moving around. Yes, whether they are talking or not, obviously you can't tell us. No, Mr. Shook, can we pause it, please? And then he says, we can see as individuals are walking across the field that several of them have umbrellas out. Is that right? Yes, sir. Mr. Shook said, go forward, please. If it at that point, do you recall the time on this particular video of when we see action of the incident of the bodies going this way and back? Not immediately. I can't immediately recall it. No, Mr. Shook. Could you give me the time? Do you know the time, Mr. Mitchell? And then offer discussion happens. And he said, Mr. Strick said, I'm sorry, I didn't catch this. If we could back it up just a little bit. Mr. Porter, if you will keep your eye, does it look like someone might have moved from this side to and sit down closer to Mr. Anthony, or people moving may be switch spots? There is some movement under the tent, yes. If we could just look at that again, if you could go back 20 seconds or so, if you could see someone to see if they move closer or switch places. Baby, he got everybody going. Because I see the person in the yellow coming. Camera just right there. Mm-hmm. And I'm just watching a video, y'all. Like that left side, you can see, I think that's somebody with an umbrella. See people walking. Okay, now I see somebody's like they moved their head to the right or to the left. Then somebody came up out of the tent. Okay, I think that's where, well, no, that person just got up and left. Okay. So I'm just gonna pause it right there. Now he said go to the 10-minute mark. See, our times is different on, I'm just gonna put it right there. Okay. Let me see. Now, this should be just prior to the movement we talked about. Again, if an argument is going on under the tent between individuals who are seated, you wouldn't be able to tell the jury that's happening, right? That's correct. There could be yelling going on. There could be people cussing each other out. There could be a heated argument. There could be a not so heated argument. But you wouldn't be able to tell the jury, I can tell from looking at this video that there's an argument. That's correct. What you can only tell is when you see enough people standing or movement, more exaggerated movement, rather than people just moving their mouths or maybe turning their heads. Yes. All right. The movement you see that we see, we are going to see again in a moment. A movement go one direction and then the other. Is that right? Yes. And could you describe again the action that you saw? And I know you have seen that video many times of what type of movement you see. It appears a push in the direction towards the right and an immediate push back to the left. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. All right, so I'm gonna do it from right here. All right. Okay, I think that's what they saw because I think I did see somebody get up, kind of switch positions. So you see movement, but you can't really see exactly what is going on. All right. So I see. Okay, I'm going to pause it. Okay. So I'm going to back it up some. All right. So I'm going to play it from right here. Yeah, pause it. Because I'm looking, because I know a lot of people is like, okay, I see the back and forth, but I want everybody to be able to see that back and forth. Okay, okay. I see movement. See movement. See, it's like for me, I can't, like you can see somebody like moving from left to right. Okay, so that's the commotion right there. Okay. Okay. And could you describe again the action that you saw? And I know you have seen that video many times of what type of movement you see. It appears a push in the direction towards the right and an immediate push back to the left. And prior to that push, do you see the person, if we are looking at the screen, the person that is doing the pushing, are they on the left side? Yes. And the person that is being pushed, is that a person in the gray hoodie? I can't determine on this because of the color. Yeah, so if we go back to this video, and I'm going to go right here, you can't see, you see movement going from left to right, or however you want to say it, but you can't tell if it's a light colored hoodie, if it's dark. Everything is just dark. Everything is dark. You can't see it. You can't tell. See, look at this. You can't tell. All you see is somebody exiting. That's all. And I'm not saying, if I'm just being neutral, like, you can't definitively say it was the person in the light colored hoodie. Just like Mr. Mitchell said, I can't determine on this because of the color. From the movements afterwards, do you believe that might be Mr. Anthony, Mr. Karmelo Anthony? That is a possibility. All right. Prior to that push, did you see that individual that did the pushing stand up and start moving? I saw him reposition. And when you say reposition, what do you mean? I mean, it appears that he stood up and moved from would be what I would consider the center area underneath the tent up towards the top, or in the upward movement or direction. And when you say he stood up and moved, was he walking in that direction or moving in that direction? It appears to me that he just stood up. I didn't see any really movement that I could determine. And so you believe he just stood up and then made a shove? I saw him reposition, yes. He may have taken a step forward, but there was not a lot of forward or backward movement when they did that. Well, if there were people were just a couple of spots from one another, would that account for him moving closer? It can, yes. And the Mrs. Shook says, and if we could then hold on. As far as the shoving goes, the person, you saw them appear to stand up. Is that right? Before the shove? Yes. The person that was shoved, did they not stand up? Did they? I couldn't determine that. They appeared to be about the same height, of the same stature. Should they say they both be standing up? Wait, what? I couldn't determine that. They appeared to be about the same height or of the same stature. Should we say they both be standing up? Well, did you ever see that person then stand up from where he was sitting? I did not. So you have described it as reposition. You saw the person that did the pushing reposition himself. Yes. Okay. But the person that was pushed, you didn't see that. No. So if that person was sitting, they would still be sitting when they were pushed, would they not? That is a possibility, yes. Well, do you believe you would be able to pick him up if they were sitting on the bleacher and they had been sitting under there for 3 to 4 minutes and then stood up and got pushed? Would you be able to see that? I believe so, yes. But you didn't see that. When I saw the push occur, it appeared to me that both parties were standing up. Okay, so you believe that the person was standing the whole time, the person that got pushed? No. When do you believe he stood up? I can't determine that. So is that part of the video, the limitations you have from the distance and the pixels? That maybe that happened and you just couldn't see it? Yes. Okay. Could another explanation be that he didn't stand up, the person that was pushed? That person was pushed. The person that was pushed? Yes. He could have been sitting down. He could have. And with eyewitnesses' testimony to the effect of how the people were positioned, obviously in this case maybe would enlighten the jury as to how those people were exactly positioned. Yes. Okay, but let me ask you, the shove, as we are about to see, you cannot tell how the person that was doing the shoving, and for this hypothetical, I wouldn't say that that's often Austin Metcalf, all right? Yes, sir. Because we're calling the other fellow Karmelo Anthony, okay? All right. You can't tell how he was, wait, you can't tell how he has his hands on Mr. Anthony, can you? I can't determine that. No. You can just tell there is a shove. Is that right? Yes. Or what appears to be a shove. Yes. Could it have been a punch? That's a possibility, but it didn't appear that he drew back. It appears that his arms were forward. It looked like something as could have grabbed him in some way or pushed him in some way. Once again, because of the nature of the video, it appears that it was a just a straight push. There was no drawback of his arms or anything like that. So it wouldn't be a punch. No. But just as a push, you can do it by you like shoving me, or it could be if you grabbed hold and then started to throw me and could be moving that way. That's a possibility, yes. You don't know how the hands were, if they were grabbing or just shoving. Correct. Could you, from just looking at it, did it look like a forceful shove? Somewhat. Because the body moves very quickly. Do they both move very quickly to the left? Yes. And then there is movement back to the right. Yes. Does it appear the other person was shoving, or can you tell? It appears that the person is also shoving. So we see what you say is a violent movement this way. I wouldn't classify it as violent. It is just a quick movement. A quick movement. Yeah. And that's movement that makes both of the bodies go this way quickly. Yes. And then you see movement back to the right. Yes, sir. But exactly what was going on at the hands of the person that was shoved or the person that was doing the shoving initially? You can't tell us what is going on with their hands, can you? No. Mr. Shook, if you go ahead and play the video, all right, if we could pause there. We just saw the shoving motion to the right, and then the bodies go back to the left. And then as soon as Karmelo exited the tent, you were able to put that highlight circle or oval on him. Is that right? Yes, sir. All right. And I have that paused on that part. Okay. What term you use for it? Spotlight. Spotlight. Could you do the spotlight while they were under the tent? I could, but I was not 100% sure that I was going to maintain my accuracy on who I was trying to identify, because they are underneath the tent and it is dark under there. And I wanted to be sure that I was identifying the correct person and the same person throughout the video. But as far as the actual shoving goes, that movement, you could have put the spotlight on those two individuals when that happened, both at the same time. Yes, I could have, yes. Did you try to do that? I did not. Did the DA's office or Mr. Mitchell or anyone with the DA's office ask you to try to do that? No. If I had to, do you think we may have been able to see better what was going on, or would it be the same? It would be difficult to say without actually doing it and see what the results would be. We just don't know. Correct. Oh, and when did you do this work where you did the enhancement or the spotlight? When? Yes. Approximately 2.5 weeks ago. It was relatively recent. 2.5 weeks ago. Did you make the decision as to what you were going to spotlight? I was asked to follow a person of interest, and once I located that person of interest, I went through the video to make sure that I could follow that person, and then I went ahead and performed the work. And was that the person of interest at one point was Carmelo Anthony? Is that right? Yes, sir. And then also on the other video, it is Austin Metcalf. Yes, sir. And then also on the other video, it is already read that. Yes. But as far as Carmelo Anthony goes, as far as the tent, you just spotlighted him as he comes out. Yes. Okay. No one asked you to spotlight the shoving act. No. Mr. Shook. Okay, he says, all right. If we could continue forward after as Mr. Anthony starts to go down the walkway. All righty, let's see. All right, so that is the little walkway. Okay. Da, 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 da. All right. Here, he is running. Mr. Shook said, if we could pause it, please. All right, it says, and when he was running down the bleachers and along the walkway, it appeared there were other students or other people had been running behind him. Is that right? Yes, sir. And as far as what is in a person's mind or their intent, you obviously can't tell us that from looking at the video, can you? No. You can tell just what you can just tell us where they are going and if they are running or walking and in what direction. All I can do is annotate their actions. And we see the people pointing at him. You pointed that out in the photographs and the video. Is that right? Da, 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 da. Yes, sir. Ms. Shook. And we can have it go forward now. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Sorry. I was reading the text. Can you tell us if they are yelling, but from your life experience, when people are chasing after and pointing at someone, are they usually yelling? Generally, yes. So it doesn't appear he tried. He takes a right there. Ms. Shook, if we could pause it. Where this tip was, or is, I believe, is the entrance, or the entrance and exit is back this way, if that's right. If you are going to get out of the stadium, it would actually be a little bit lower than where you are pointing. That's the parking lot. Okay. It would be adjacent or to the side of that little tent right there. So I'm going to play this so it can go all the way. Because all right. Because that was the tent there. All right, let me get back to reading. Da, 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 but he would have gone this way, yes, and would have been, from what you have seen there, he was perfectly capable of continuing to run and go out that way if he wanted to, correct? Yes, sir. But it looks like he decided to turn direction and begin walking on the track or into the track. Is that right? And that's exactly what happened, because he ended up on the track. So where it followed him. So remember, so y'all see this? I'm gonna play it. So he's walking, and instead of him going in the direction to get out, he came on the track. He came on the track. Let me pause that right there. That is what I observed. Yes. Ms. Shook said, all right, if we could forward, please. Does it appear someone is walking with him here, or is he walking by himself? It appears someone is walking with him. Okay. So they have a hold of him in some way. At this point, he said, pause this, please. Okay. Maybe we can back that. All right. So when he first came down, did it appear there was someone walking with him on the track? Yes. Yes. And that person, Mr. Shook said, thank you, that's perfect. That appears they are walking together at this point, which is 8:59. Is that right? Yes, sir. And does it appear they are walking in step? Perhaps they are talking to each other. You don't know, but they are walking in step together. Yes. Could the person in the darker color possibly have his arm around Karmelo? I would have to watch the video to determine that. Mr. Shook said, okay, if we could go forward with that, if we could pause it there. At 9:07, it appears that person peeled off and then went over there. And then Karmelo in this made a right and is kind of going toward the middle of the track. Is that right? Yes. He didn't attempt to run away at this time, did he? He did not. He is free of, if that person did have a hold of him now, he was free to take off and run if he wanted to. Yes, Mr. Shook. Could we go forward again? Now he turns around, now appears to be walking back to the person he was walking with, and now they are walking together again. Do they appear to be embracing? The other person appears to have his arm around him, yes. Does he appear to have his arm around that person? Yes. Do they appear to be struggling? Do they? No, sir. Now, does it appear they are still walking and turned around and going in the other direction? Yes. Does it appear they are kind of holding on to one another? They are in very close proximity. That's a possibility, yes. Mr. Shook said again now, stopping here. Now, he appears to be walking free of anyone holding him. Yes. And now he's talking to someone, correct? Now it looks like he's gotten down on his knees. Yes, sir. Maybe he's squatting. Yes. Or squatting. Does it appear that he's grabbing his head with his hands at some point? Yes. All right. So I'm going to kind of fast forward to that part. I think that was the part where he was kind of kneeling. That part right there. Okay, yes. Does it appear that he is walking with his person here in all dark that at one point put his hands up? Yes. Did you ever see what is purported to be a police officer, him ever resisting arrest or anything like that? No, never saw a struggle. No. Mr. Shook, thank you. That's all. The court has the witness. Mr. Shook, no, Judge, I will just need to reposition. The court, okay, let's do that. Can I have someone move the monitor, please, if we are done with the monitor, the bailiff? Do you want it to do it? The court, yes, better them than the lawyers. All right. Now let's go ahead and take a break while we are waiting on it to move everything. It is now 2:15. We'll be back at 2:30. Remember my previous instructions to you. You are not allowed to discuss this case with anybody, including amongst yourselves. Please go with the bailiffs. The bailiffs, all rise. Jury is not present. The court, let the record reflect the jury has left the courtroom. We'll be in recess for 15 minutes. Everybody listen to the security staff on the progression of the recess. All right, and the recess are in proceedings. All right, so all righty. The court. Everyone be seated. Hey, Shook, how much longer do we got with this witness? Mr. Shook, give me a second. Judge, I may not have any. I'm so sorry, y'all. My dog just started barking. Um, let's see. All right, let the record reflect. Jury has left the room. Oh, I already read that. Okay, so recess and proceeding. The court. Everyone be seated. Hey, Shook, how much longer do you got with this witness? Mr. Shook, give me 1 second, Judge. I may not have any. Can we approach? And they have an off the record discussion for about a good couple of seconds. Okay, let's see. Okay, the court. Mr. Shook, how long do you need with this witness? Mr. Shook, that's all the questions I have, Judge. The court. Okay, then I need you to do that in front of the jury so they understand what's happening. Let's bring in the jury, please. Mr. Mitchell? Before we bring the jury in, I misstated that I showed the defense what states exhibit 3 through 20. I think on the record I said 3 through 19. The court, you did. Mr. Mitchell, so I would like to reoffer that as 3 through 20. The court, the objection to basically 20 now. Mr. Shook says no objection. The court, I think you said 13 through. And then Mr. Mitchell said I said 19 and I meant 20. The court, so 13 through 20. So no objection to 13 through 20. Mr. Shook, no objection. The court, they all are admitted. They are all admitted. Are we ready otherwise? Mr. Mitchell, yes, Your Honor. The court, yeah, we are ready. Mr. Rollins, where are you going? The witness, sorry. The court, where are you going? The witness, I want the location of my laser pointer. I just want to verify that Dewey has got it. The court, head back over there. The witness, sorry, Your Honor. The bailiff, all rise. The court, everyone be seated, please. All right, Mr. Shook, you can continue. Mr. Shook, Your Honor, I pass the witness. The court, what says state, Mr. Mitchell? Mr. Mitchell, no further questions. The court, the witness excused by the state. Mr. Mitchell, by the state. The court, by the defense. Mr. Shook, yes, Your Honor. The court, okay, you are excused, sir. Thank you. Call your next witness. Mr. Worski, Your Honor, the state would call Rob Starr. The court, okay, Mr. Starr, come into the courtroom over this way and walk up that little ramp. Before you sit down, turn to me and raise your right hand. He was sworn in. To the court, all right, put your hand down and be seated, please. Who is it? Mr. Worski? Yes, sir. Mr. Worski, thank you, Your Honor. Robert Starr, having been duly sworn in, testifies as follows, and this is now the direct examination by Mr. Worski. All right, so here we go. Mr. Starr, can you look at the members of the jury and tell them your full name? Robert Wayne Starr Jr. Okay, how old a man are you? 41. Okay, and what do you do for a living? I am the head coach at Frisco Memorial, and I am also assistant football coach, linebacker position coach. In your free time, if you have any, do you also train professional athletes? Yes, I am an athletic trainer. I am a CSCS, so specifically combat sport athletic, UFC, Division I wrestling. Pretty much anything, though. Anything athletic, non-athletic, health and wellness. And let me back up. What part of Texas or part of the country are you from? Originally, I'm from Oklahoma, small town, Arcadia, Oklahoma. I moved down to Texas when I was, I believe I was, I can't recall, but I think I know it was first grade, and I have been down here ever since. When I first came down here, I stayed in Oak Cliff. I moved to Dallas, and then I moved to Irving. Okay, and did you coach at Irving? Yes, sir. So Irving was my first coaching job. I started off at a middle school. I was actually a life teacher, and my first coaching job with Special Olympics did that for a couple of years. And then I became just a regular gym ed coach at Lady Bird Johnson's middle school, seventh grade and eighth grade athletics. Shortly after that, I was promoted to varsity position at the high school. I worked at Irving High School for around 4 or 5 years. I wanted to grow in my profession, so I moved to a school in South Oak Cliff. It was called Molina High School. I worked there for, I believe, a year and a half. After working there, then got a call from Jeff Jackson at Memorial High School, went out there for an interview, and started working at Memorial shortly after. Did you play sports at all coming up? Yeah, so in high school, played football, basketball, ran track, just about everything. Went off to college, went to Virginia Tech for a little bit, and wanted to walk on the football team. I was only there for a semester until I transferred to UNT. Went out there and kind of got into the working force, but joined the frat, and those guys were really big into rugby. So I started participating on the rugby team out there for, I think, a couple of years, either a year and a half or a couple of years, my last 2 years of school. And then you got your degree from UNT and went into teaching and coaching. Is that right? Yes, sir. I think you mentioned this, but you have a position on the football team at Memorial. Yeah, so I am several different things on the football team. So I am the strength and conditioning coordinator. I started off just specifically football, but now it is more all campus. I will work with all sports. I will consult, or if needed, I will just program their either off season, in season workouts, fitness, as far as Memorial. The same thing with football, just assistant coach and head track coach. All right, and let me jump back a little bit into April of last year. You mentioned you were one of the head track coaches. Do you have other coaches at Memorial that were coaching the track team last year? Yeah, yes, sir. So then the court, we're going to do this by question and answer, please. Do you have other coaches? The court, he said yes, but we need to ask another question. Mr. Worski, okay. Who are the other coaches? At the time, I had on the boys' side, we had three other coaches, a Coach Ruiz, Coach Ballard, and Coach Bassam. On the girls' side, the head coach was Coach Davis, and then you had two other coaches, Coach Woods, and then we had an additional coach on the girls' side. She's no longer with us, and I can't recall her name at the time or right now. And did last year, did you, or last few years, have you coached the linebackers at Memorial? Yeah, yes, sir. So obviously this year and in previous years, I was a linebacker coach. I was actually hired to coach linebackers. That's what was told to me specifically during the interview. And in your time there at Memorial, did you come to know Austin and I'm pretty sure Hunter Metcalf? Yeah, so I was their position coach. So did they both play linebackers there at Memorial? Yes, sir. At the time, Austin was inside linebacker. Hunter was outside linebacker. Okay, so fair to say you knew them for a few years. Yeah, I would say maybe with Austin, obviously, just 1 year, and then Hunter, 2 years now. Mr. Worski. Okay, Your Honor, might I approach as it may become necessary? The court says yes, sir. Mr. Worski, thank you. Coach, let me show you two photographs on form boards marked for identification as state exhibit number 21 and 22. Let me see. Okay, so that's 23. I don't even think I got 21 or 22. Isn't that interesting? All right, so Your Honor, at this time, wait, let me see. Oh yeah, do you recognize Metcalf in the first photo and Austin and Hunter in the second photo? Yes, sir. Mr. Worski, Your Honor, at this time, we would offer states 21 and 22. Mr. Shook, no objection, Your Honor. The court states 21 and 22 are admitted. I guess because they didn't have those, it show. Now that's weird. It says it shows a minor, but yet okay. But anywho's, yeah, my thought process. I was like, your reasoning can't be that you didn't show those pictures because Hunter was a minor, but yet you showed the pictures showing them walking into the stadium. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Mr. Worski, permission to publish these members of the jury. The court granted. Let me show you States Exhibit 21. That's Austin Metcalf. Is that right? Yes, sir. Is that how you remember him? Yeah. And also show you States 22. Is that Austin and Hunter? Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. They are obviously identical twins. Is that right? Yeah. Yes, sir. All right. But could you tell them apart? Yeah. Did you also know their parents? Yes, Megan and Jeff. Okay. Do you happen to see Megan and Jeff in the courtroom today? Yeah, I see Meg and I see Jeff, yes. Is it fair to say you got pretty close to the family based on your coaching duties there at Memorial? Yes, sir. Now, let me ask you a little bit about track. I got to know you probably 9 months ago? Yes, sir. And you had to educate me a little bit on the etiquette of the track meet, right? Yes, sir. Tell the members of the jury the culture that exists at the track meet with respect to the team tent or the team area. Yeah, it's just basically at a track meet with a lot of kids. Usually it is co-ed, so your boys and girls are kind of, even though we have separate coaches staff, we want to operate together. And with that said, everything is vertically aligned to be for best practice, aligned with whatever the district prescribes. As far as the tents specifically, I don't want to embellish, but it is like $1 million industry on track tents where, as a track coach, every year, either we have to refurbish a tent or we are looking for basically the tent marks your spot because track meets, there is usually one home meet, right? But even at the home meet, you have spaces in the bleachers, underneath bleachers where kids are going to have food, you're going to have boys and girls. And specifically, you are not going to have as many coaches versus kids. So in reference, a football staff, a varsity football game, we may have maybe 40 kids. For those 40 kids, though, we have 12 coaches who service those kids. Our track team, our boys team specifically, has 40 kids. I mentioned earlier that we only have 4 coaches. One of those coaches is a volunteer coach, and that's Coach Bass. He volunteers for the boys. On the girls' side, you may have 30, 35 kids. Overall, you may show up to a track meet between 60, 65 kids between boys and girls, and you are going to service them with maybe 6 or 7 coaches. And with that said, with backpacks and the food and just a lot of hormones and not a lot of eyes, the one thing we try to do is at least designate certain spots. Sometimes the designations is done preemptively by the people who are running the meet, but a lot of times you have to do it yourself. And a really easy way to do it is to have a customized tent. Most high schools have them, and it is just a tent, usually has your logo, your school colors on it. What the tent represents, if I can put it into context, is kind of like your bench. So think about a basketball game or a football game. You have your bench and you have your opponent's bench. That space is a safe area for your team specifically. Now, usually in a track meet, even with that said, as a precaution, you usually have a coach there that hangs back underneath the tent at all times. Coach, I'm going to stop you right there. Yes, sir. You mentioned a term to me, proximity control. Uh-huh. You have to say yes or no. Oh, yes, sir. Okay. And it sounds like what you are about to describe, is that correct? Yes, sir. When it comes to tense and proximity control, tell the members of the jury what proximity control is. So proximity control is just keeping a coach close to the tent at all times. Going back to what I said earlier, you are going to have kids with valuables. In track, the culture is, man, We're going to be there all day. So kids are going to bring backpacks. You're going to have phones. These are student athletes, and sometimes there is laptops, just valuable things. On top of that, you are going to have food, snacks, just about anything. And then, last but not least, like I said, it is co-ed, so you are going to have boys and girls in the tent. So you want to have an adult close by at all times if available. Okay, that's just standard practice at these track meets. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Okay. And that's kind of a general expectation that members of other teams shouldn't be under another team's tent. Is that right? Well, I could speak specifically to Frisco ISD. Yes, sir. That is the expectation. Okay. Now, previous and previous school districts that I was at, it was very similar. So when I was in Dallas ISD at Molina, we had a track tent that was specifically meant for the boys and girls at Molina High School. When I was at Irving High School, we had a track tent that had our logo on there, specifically meant for the boys and girls at Irving High School. At all three of those track programs, to which I was the head coach of Irving High School and Memorial High School, it was a big deal to keep people out from underneath your tent. Obviously, there are valuables. There's snacks, and then, like I said, it's a lot of kids, a lot of hormones. You just want to keep everybody separate the best you can. Okay. And that's something that's important to you, in addition to being school district policy, is something that's important to you as that head track coach? Yes. So not only is it important to me, it is important to our campus athletic director. So these are things that are prescribed by him, and we are vertically aligned for those things, for the things he prescribes for us. And so when it is co-ed, we have got to police our own children, but who are definitely going to police kids who are trying to come in and out of your tent. I am not saying that there is something that is uncommon, but in track culture, you know that you just don't go into somebody else's tent uninvited, I guess, or even invited. That's why we will have a coach in close proximity to regulate those things. Let me ask you about this. It sounds like you have worked in Dallas ISD, Irving ISD, and Frisco ISD. Do all of the school districts have a policy on bringing weapons onto school property or at school events? Yes, sir. What is that policy? That weapons are not allowed in any shape, form, or fashion. Is it something you worried about maybe at Dallas ISD and Irving ISD, but maybe worried a little bit less about it in Frisco ISD? Just a little bit in Irving ISD, depending on which track meet that you went to. A little bit more in Dallas ISD. And not to, insinuate anything, but just the teams that we were playing, it was a thing. And it was not, my personal feelings. But in Dallas ISD, you would have metal detectors, things like that, things like things that I didn't necessarily see at every track meet when we were in Urban ISD. Frisco ISD was a little bit different. I'm not saying that it should have been, but it was just something that, wouldn't cross your mind twice about wouldn't cross your mind twice that somebody would bring a weapon to a track meet, especially after not experiencing that in maybe more inner city districts. You wouldn't expect that at Frisco ISD track meet, especially at a home meet, district meet. No, sir. Okay. And do the students know this as well? Is it publicized? Yes. Do they have a sign of code of conduct to promise not to bring weapons or onto a school campus or school events? Yes. Let me turn your attention a little bit towards that day. Wednesday, April 2nd. That was a district meet. Is that right? Yes, sir. Was it a district meet? A district meet is, what is a district meet? A district meet is like your track championship between the teams who all are in the district, right? And so I believe our track district is 7 teams. You participate at the district meet to get into the I guess you would call them the track playoffs, right? So you have got two different leagues, and we have got state. So you start off at your district meet. Usually the top four advance to the area meet. From there, the top four placers in whatever event will advance to the regional meet. And then from there, the top two will advance to your state meet. And specifically back in 2025, Austin and Hunter, they were throwers, right? Yes, sir. What does it mean to be a thrower in that track context? In track context, that is exactly what it is. Those guys, they threw stuff. So Austin threw shot and disc, Hunter threw shot and disc. And going back to the district meet that day was Memorial High School, the host school. Yes, sir. What does that mean? So if you are the host school, that means you are responsible for running the meet. It is a pretty big deal, especially for a head track coach, but it also requires a lot of responsibility and a lot of moving parts because you are basically responsible on how the meet runs, logistics, and catering. Everything from the top down. I believe last year it was Memorial. We had a helper school, I believe, and it may have been Frisco High, but yeah, that's all I can recall at the time about that. Okay. Is it practical if wait, is the practical effect of your school being a host, does that place extra burdens on the coach of that school? Yes, sir. So to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, at most meets, there is a laid out plan logistically, specifically with the proximity control and where your coaches are at the district meet. Since we were the hosts, you are going to be down certain coaches due to number one, the staggered starts of events, and then due to the responsibilities of the two head coaches. Usually, I can be close to the tent while I am doing things for my other athletes, or I can come by back and forth and check on athletes, or I can have my other head coach on the girls' side, she can do as well. But since we are running the meet, is a little bit different. Now we are walking around with walkie-talkies, and then we are handling logistics and doing things that you normally don't do at track meets. Specifically, I am dealing with catering, and that's something I don't do, or you are dealing with concessions and different things like that versus the normal everyday duties that you do for every other track meet. And that's the position you found yourself in that morning, April 2nd, hosting that district meet, correct? Yes, sir. Okay, were you able to anticipate that you were going to be pulled in 100 different directions that morning? Yes, sir. My AD, he previously at the previous school was in charge of hosting the track meet before he became a head football coach, and kind of gave me a skinny, or kind of gave me a rundown on what it would be. And he told me, he said, I'm going to have to delegate a lot of things in order to make sure that the track meet runs smoothly. Did you enlist several of the young men on the team to kind of step up that day and be leaders out there? Yeah, yes, sir. Specifically, our throwers, right? And usually the throwers are typically leaders on the team, especially your upperclassmen. Those guys are responsible for getting the tents off the bus, carrying heavy stuff, and any type of snacks or anything. They assist with, we usually take two buses. So one bus has the boys, the second bus has the girls. Any equipment that is on the girls' bus, our throwers will go and also help the ladies out and get equipment off of their bus and put it in our designated area. Our throwers specifically are responsible for putting up the tent as well as their own tent, their own equipment. And with that said, it is easy to entrust those guys with, hey, I'm going to be moving around a little bit. Those guys are super reliable to ask them, hey, anything under the tent or anything that I need to be done, I need you guys to step up and make sure that we are still aligned with Memorial High School and then our values. Okay, in fact, you sent a text earlier that morning to Austin Metcalf and another young man saying, hey, I need y'all to step up and be leaders today. Is that correct? Yes, sir. I told them that there was a lot of moving parts and I will be pulled in many different directions. So, yes, sir. Okay. As the morning went on, the forecast was for on and off rain all day, correct? Yes, sir. Let me make your attention to about, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Was there ever a rain delay in the district meet that morning? No, sir. There was no official rain delay in the district meet that morning. There was some confusion, but since we were in charge of the hosting meet, we were walking around with walkie talkies, and District AD told us that there was no rain delay and the track meet should go as planned or as scheduled. So your athletes at Memorial, because you are on the walkie-talkies, you are hosting, you get the word from the AD. They know there is no delay. Be at the tent. If they are calling your event, you're on the field to warm up, correct? Yes, sir. And specifically, out of all your athletes who are under the tent, only two athletes left and transitioned back to the bus as they just seen numerous kids kind of going to the bus, and it seemed like it was about to rain. But for the most part, most of our athletes stayed underneath the tent. But some of the other teams, the other schools, the other athletes went to the buses. Is that right? Yeah, so the other athletes followed their coaches out to the bus. And typically, it looked ominous. There was black clouds rolling in, and at any other track meet, it probably would have been a rain delay coming soon. So the coaches and student athletes anticipated that. At this specific track meet, especially since we're hosting, we got a call. Hey, where is everybody going? The track meet is still running. Where is everybody going? The track meet is still running as usual. Everybody needs to stay in the bleachers. At about 10 o'clock, you mentioned you weren't used to working with caterers and concessions. Did you have something with a crock pot? Yes. Tell us about that. A crock pot. So, so I guess, since we are hosting the meet, it is our concessions. And they never, our boosters are really good. They never really miss out on anything. But I guess in this particular meet, we were missing a crock pot. I didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently it was a big deal. And so we had a teacher, I think it was a coach, I think it was our soccer coach, if I recall correctly, go back to the school, get a crock pot, come back and drop it off. I had to leave the actual inside of the Kukendall, step outside into the parking lot, and get a crock pot from this coach. So about 10 o'clock, you left the area where the tent was and your athletes and go retrieve that crock pot, correct? Yes, sir. And the jury has seen a lot of the video and they've seen some aerials. I want to show it to you. It is entered as State Exhibit number 1. So it's going back to this right here. Is that Kukendall Stadium? Yes, sir. Okay. And the jury has heard that y'all's tent was set up on the visitor or the north bleachers. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Kind of generally where my finger is. Yes, sir. And where did you have to go? Mr. Worski said, "May he stand up?" The court said, "Yes, sir." Can you stand up and kind of show the members of the jury where you had to go with the crock pot? So here's the concession area right here. Can you try to say it in the microphone? You can stand up. The microphone lifts up. There you go. Mr. Shook, Your Honor, may I move? The court, yes. All right, go ahead. And here are the concessions right here. And so basically I had to come out here in front of the parking lot and make my way back inside and gate the gate and then walk on the outside up this little, you can't see it, but it is kind of a steep hill right here. Walk up here until I got to the sidewalk and then kind of going to make your way over to the concessions right here. Okay, what's that where you went about 10 o'clock? Is that right? Oh, and that's where you went about 10 o'clock. Is that right? Yes, sir. And at some point, did you make your way back and come down the hill? Yes, sir. So I was coming up with the crock pot and I I got to about right here and I hear or not here. I look back and I see some type of commotion. I see like people running, and I started to kind of walk back over here to where my vantage point. I can see where our tent was. It seemed like everybody was kind of running from our tent, so I started to kind of hustle down. I'm rushing, so I don't want to go down the sidewalk and try to cut corners. The grass is kind of slick, so I have to kind of take my time until I get to concrete. There's a little bitty opening in each of the gates, so everybody is running, and and I guess I keep either the openings are closed or maybe I am just not seeing the openings, but it seems like I cannot find a space to get inside the actual track. So I start to jog around here. I drop the crock pot somewhere in this area and I continue to make my way up through there. I, I think I finally jumped the fence and still stay on the sidewalk, and I'm just running kind of up there. You are trying to get back to your team's tent, correct? Yeah, yes, sir. When you see this, what you describe as commotion, what's going through your head? Well, I am thinking, like, man, there are no coaches by my tent and maybe some kids are fighting. So I'm trying to hurry up and get over there and see what is going on. And when you get over there, what do you find? I come over there and my memory is kind of shaky, but what I do see is I see Austin on the ground and his face is purple and he has a big hole in his chest. And obviously, you cared about that young man? Yeah, yes. What happens when you see that? It is just a lot of commotion and I can't really make stuff out. Everybody is screaming my name though. Like I see him and then I see somebody tells me, I need to go help another student out, a student whose name is blank. That's blank. Yes, the jury has heard his name. Go ahead. I have to step over where Austin is and I have to go over there and I have to help out Hunter because he is kind of, he is losing his composure. He is really hysterical and I'm having a hard time recalling all of those events. But after helping him out for it didn't seem like a very long time, making my way back to Austin, I see our trainers working on him. I then hear Hunter and I look over and I can't tell who was holding him, but I see him telling me to do something. He is like, Coach Starr, do something. I just remember saying, like, who? Where is he? And he pointed out Karmelo. Karmelo was on the track and he was walking. And when he said, let me stop you right there. The jury just saw some video. Do you end up approaching Anthony that day? Yes, sir. And I don't know if you remember this, but you were dressed in all black. Is that right? Yes, sir. That's kind of your thing, isn't it? Yeah, yes, sir. We will see it today. Yes, sir. Did you go over to where Carmelo Anthony was? Yes, sir. I hopped over the gate and I approached him. I jogged up. I believe he was walking with two other coaches. Specifically, I think they were two coaches from his school. I jog up and these guys are like just casually walking out. I don't think those guys knew what happened and I just stopped them and you run through these events, you with your own kids or just maybe not to this extent, but you tell yourself what would you do? But when I stopped him, it was just, it is surreal. And it wasn't violent. It wasn't, I just put a hand up and told him he wasn't going nowhere. And I asked him, what did he do? What did he say? He said he put his hands on me and he was hysterical. I remember after that. You say hysterical. Was Carmelo Anthony hysterical? Yes. Was he hysterical when you first walked up to him? No. Tell the members of the jury about that. He was walking very calmly with his coaches until I approached him and asked him what he do. I can't remember my verbiage, but it was something like, what the hell did you do? Or something like that. After he said he put his hands on me, I got really upset and I maybe walked away 2 or 3 steps. I had a hat on. I always wear my hat just really dusty memorial hat. I just like to wear it, and I just remember throwing it on the ground. And I put my hands on my hips and I turned around, and his coaches told me that I needed to leave. But later on, they told me they didn't realize that I was a memorial coach because I'm always, was it, go ahead, was it apparent to you they wanted you to leave because they were worried about your emotional and mental state? Maybe, I threw my hat. I'm an adult. So, maybe they thought, I was going to do something that I shouldn't do, but you didn't. No, I just threw my hat. And the members of the jury have seen that video. After you have the conversation with Karmelo, you walked off and throw your hat. Yes. You kind of walk in a few circles, and it looks like you put your hands on your head, like just in disbelief. Express, wait, expirated. Is that true? Yes, sir. And you and I have watched the video, haven't we? Yes. At some point after that, do you go back and help Hunter? Yes. So after that, I go back, I jump the fence, and I'm back with Austin. I kneel down, and man, I put like my hand on his leg because there are like people working on him. And you have all of these coaches, and they start praying, and that's just one of those, everybody is praying. And then I'm out there with Coach Whitaker, Tiffany, but somebody said that I need to go help Hunter. And at this time, Hunter was on the other side of the gate. He was down on the track. And so I jumped the gate and went to Hunter. And, he was a little hysterical. And, I just knelt down and I just prayed with him. And, I just remember while we were praying, it hadn't really rained all day. It was like a drizzle, but it rained hard for like a minute. And so in my mind, I was like I just knew Austin was gone. And you cared a lot about that young man. Yes, sir. Did you help Hunter that day the best you could until his parents got there? Yes. Yes, I did. You looked over the fence. You looked over once and mentioned Carmelo Anthony. Do you see Carmelo in the courtroom today? Yes, sir. He's right there. Could you point to him and describe an article of clothing he is wearing? Yeah, he's has on a gray suit. Mr. Worski, okay, let the record reflect, Your Honor, the witness has identified the defendant in open court. The record shall so reflect. Does he look a little bit different today than he did back on that day? Yes, sir. He is clean cut today. Let me show you a photograph that marks for identification. I didn't bring my glasses, Coach. Could you help me? Is that 85? Yes. Okay. Do you recognize this as a picture of Carmelo Anthony, the one that you saw the day of the stabbing? Yes, sir. Mr. Worski, Your Honor, at this time we will offer states 85. Mr. Shook, no objection. The court, it is admitted. Mr. Worski, would you put 85 up so the members of the jury can see it? Mr. Mitchell, permission to publish. Your Honor, the court, yes, sir. That's Carmelo Anthony you saw the day of the stabbing, is that correct? Yes, sir. Have you ever met this person before? No, sir. Never known him from football or track or any other Frisco ISD activities? No, sir. And at some point in the days after the stabbing, you went down to the Frisco Police Department and told them what had happened that morning. Is that right? Yes, sir. And without going into detail, is it fair to say that you are still a part of blank's life, Hunter's life? Absolutely. Yes, sir. You coached him last year in football? Yes, sir. Let me ask you this. The track meet before the district meet, were you a little disappointed in Austin? Yes, sir. Tell the members of the jury why. Well, specifically, as we got closer to the district meet, you want somebody to stay and support all of their teammates. Austin and the throwers went out. The field events happened earlier in the day before the running events. Austin and the other throwers went out and they threw, and it was my understanding they left early, but they left early to go fishing. You weren't happy about that, were you? No, I wasn't. And I've gotten to know you these last few months, and you are kind of a no slack type of coach. Is that right? Yes, sir. I've talked to a lot of the athletes you have coached. It made you angry, didn't it? Yes, sir. You threatened to kick him off the track team. Yes, sir. Did you? Yes. Why was he at the district meet? Because we talked to him and let him back on the team. I did not need for the district meet because he had a really crappy wait. I did not need him for the district meet because he had a really crappy throwing season, but he is the captain of the football team and he knows what that means. And so we had talked and he wanted to specifically he told me he wanted to come out and support his team. So I let him back on the team. I was going to let him back on the team anyway. It is just a lesson to be learned, and that was that. And you trusted him enough in a leadership role to send him a text that morning you told us about, correct? Yes. Let me show you a series of text messages that I believe are from your phone to Austin and some other coaches marked for identification as states exhibit number 27. And I believe, oh, I didn't went. I really didn't went. All right, 27. Hopefully y'all can see that. Now why okay. I'm just gonna leave it like that because I don't know what happened when I blew it up. Do you recognize those? Yes, sir. Okay. And you and I talked. These are the series of text messages, including the ones that were sent the previous track meet and then the morning of the district meet, correct? Yes, sir. Your Honor, at this time, we will offer states 27. Mr. Schick, no objection. The court, 27 is admitted. I will come back to that in just a second. There is some legal requirements that I need to meet, and I need to show you a photograph, and that photograph is marked for identification as States Exhibit 79. Hold on, let me see if I can go to 79. It would take a little. I was like, why is this? All right, what we say, 79? Bro, it is taking a while for this. I don't know what's going on with my Adobe. That's interesting. All right. Hold on. Let's see something. Just close that out and pull it back up. All right, Karmelo. See if I can pull it back up for you guys. All right, go to photos, state. All right. I bet you. Okay, so that was 85. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so let's go back here. I got to pull it back on the screen because I had to end up closing out of it to get back into it. So let me add the PDF. Where's my PDF? Oh, there it goes. Okay, so this was the photo that was showed to him when he was at the police department. Okay, that's a close-up shot of tent. Okay. You know what? All right, so going back, They said exhibit number 79. Now these are all in order. So where's the 79 at? That's interesting. It's not in here. I would ask you to look at the photograph and see if you recognize Austin Metcalf. Yes, sir. Is that a number at the bottom of that photograph? Yes, sir. Is that number 25-01590? Yes, sir. Is that a photograph of Austin Metcalf? Oh, no wonder, because he was deceased. Okay, that's why it's not in there. Yes, sir. The court, any objection? Mr. Shook, no objection. The court, is it admitted? Mr. Worski, I'm offering for the record only. The court, yes, sir, record only. Mr. Worski, can we pull up the previous exhibit? Mr. Mitchell, I believe it is states 27. And I believe I don't have that on there either. And it should come up on your screen, Coach. Mr. Worski, can you make it larger so the members of the jury can see it? Can you just kind of walk us through these text messages? Who were you? You are obviously in the blue, right? Okay, so let me get back to the text messages. Oopsies. So what we say? All right, so that starts at 27. All righty. Yes, sir. And in the gray is the throwers coach, Coach Bass. Okay. This is you being upset about that previous track meet. Is that right? Yes. And as you can see, like the day started off like not being aligned with what we do. So like Austin had some freaking khaki shorts, and I was like, can you please tell him to put on his black shorts? And then afterwards, finding out that they left early, I asked him, could he send this to the throwers? And going fishing was not a good excuse for him to leave early, in your estimation, correct? No, sir. So that coach sends it out to the warrior throwers text thread. Is that right? Yes, sir. Mr. Worski, okay. I think scroll down, Dewey, to the next exhibit. Okay. I'm assuming this would be the next part of the exhibit. Don't get me to telling stories. All right. Okay, let's see the next slide. Okay, just the same thing, correct? Yes, sir. Some of these are duplicates, and you provided these to the police department, did you not? Yes, sir. And at the very bottom, this is where you kicked him off the team, correct? Yeah, yes, sir. Mr. Worski. And the next one, please. Okay, now we see the early morning, 7:58 a.m. So let me get to that. I can't even tell. Okay, that was the warrior Thors. I said Thoris. All right, so this is what he's referencing. Okay. Can you read that text from you in blue? Yes, it says you and blank are on early bus. Get 10 and whatever else we need. Set examples of how to conduct yourself today. Be a leader. I need you and blank to hold us down. I will be helping with hosting the meet. I'm going to lean on my older guys. And does Austin respond to you? Yes, sir. Almost immediately, right? Yes, sir. And he says, for sure, coach. Got it, right? Yes, sir. All right, and I believe the jury has got a pretty good idea of how you feel about Austin Metcalf, or how you felt about him. So I hate to do this to you, but what is this last text? The day after the stabbing. Let me go to that. Oh yeah, that last one right there. It says, love you, man. Sorry I didn't say it enough, because when you coach, you just get caught in wearing the hats that these guys need you to wear in order for them to be who they need to be. So you don't always get to say stuff like that. Just so the jury is clear, that's a text you sent Austin Metcalf after he was already dead. Is that correct? Yes. And that text was important to you? Yes, very. Mr. Worski, just a moment. All right, thank you, Coach. I pass the witness, Judge. The court, thank you. Mr. Worski, Mr. Shook. All right, so now this is the cross examination. So here is Toby in his capacity. Coach Starr, my name is Toby Shook. I have a few questions for you. Yes, sir. You went and interviewed down at Frisco Police Department with Detective Adams on April 16th of 2025. Yes, sir, I believe so. About 2 weeks after this track meet. Yes, sir. Did they ask you to come down? No, sir. Did you call them and said you wanted to come? Yes, sir. You wanted to share some information with them? Yes, sir. All right. And one of the things you told them that day is that Karmelo Anthony shouldn't have been under the tent because it wasn't raining. Do you recall that? I don't necessarily recall, but I may have said it. At the time he was under the tent, do you recall telling them that the rain had stopped and it wasn't raining, so there was no reason for him to be under the tent? Do you recall saying that? Do you recall saying that to Detective Adams? I am sure I said something similar to that, so yes, I'm going to say yes to that. Yes, sir. And obviously, you were very upset over these events. At the time, yes. So you are here today saying it wasn't raining when Carmelo Anthony was under the tent? It wasn't raining at the stadium at that time? No, sir, it wasn't not raining. It was maybe a light drizzle. The only time that I recall it being, a real light pour was when I was down with blank and we were praying. Okay. Do you not recall that it would rain heavier, then lighten up, but be drizzling sometimes and then it got a little heavier at times? I guess what I would say to that is for the heavier, I think that's subjective. So I guess for me, being a country boy, it was like a drizzle. So it wasn't like I didn't leave and I wasn't really soaking wet, so I didn't figure it to be heavy. And then having a call from the AD that the events were continuing as usual, I perceived it as not heavy rain at all, just on and off, like really light drizzle. Do you recall seeing people with umbrellas walking around that day? I can't recall because I was moving around so much. I wouldn't, I don't want to speak to it. I wouldn't know about the umbrellas because of if people are getting in and out of the rain, I don't see, I just don't, I would just say I don't recall as far as the umbrellas. I was moving around. Bro, he stumbled on that one, huh? Fair enough, fair enough. You've talked about now you are a coach. You coach track, you coach football, you have coached other types of training. Yes, sir. And different sports have different rules. They have different etiquette. Is that true? Yes, sir. Now, you said that in track, now track meets are different from football games, for instance. Yes, sir. Correct? For one thing, football is a set time, when kickoff is. Yes, sir. You've got one team on one side, one team on the other. Yes, sir. They are hitting each other. Yeah. And there is a halftime. They go to their locker room, the other team goes to theirs. Uh huh. They don't walk around, there is no downtime, that type of thing. Yes, sir. Okay, track meets are different. They are very long events. Yes, sir. They are not timed, other than here's what time we are going to do this, but they take a long time. It could be 7, 8 hours sometimes. Yes, sir, but there is still specifics in track, especially a district meet. So you are going to have specifically at the district track meet, but you are correct about some track meets. At your district track meet, though, everything starts at a specific time. Yes, sir. I guess I'm getting at this. An athlete may have a race at 10 a.m. and then his next race may be at 3 p.m. Yes, sir, you're correct. So there is a lot of downtime between events at times. Yes, sir. And athletes aren't required to stay under their tent at that time. They can sometimes walk around, look at other races, or walk in the bleachers. They can move around. Yes, sir. No rules forbidding them from doing that. Well, there is notes preventing athletes from going wherever they want to go, but specifically speaking back to us talking about the tents, in track culture, like people do not go up under other people's tents. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about that in a minute. Yes, sir. But people during the downtime, they can walk around and they will still be talking with other athletes from other schools, won't they? Yes, sir. And they often have friends from other schools, don't they? Yes, sir. And it's not the same intense type of atmosphere fear when they are talking to other athletes between races and that type of thing. Yes, sir. Absolutely. As opposed to a football game, if a player from the other team came over in the middle of the game and went and sat down on the bench, that would cause a huge problem. Yes, sir. There would be no reason for him to come around and sit down on your bench. Absolutely. So you would be an act of provocation. Yes, sir. Now, you do have, and you say it is the track culture from your experience, correct? Yes, sir. That team tent is kind of your home base, correct? Yes, sir. That's where people can leave their backpacks if they want to. Yes, sir. They have food and drinks and they can have it in their backpack. Yes, sir. On top of the food and the drinks that we provide at the track club, it is all going to be located in close proximity or under the tent. And I believe you said that it was Frisco ISD policy that other students cannot come to other teams' tents. I don't recall that. That would have to remind me, you would have to remind me specifically. All right. Are you, did you testify earlier that in April of 2025, that spring of 2025 track season, that there was a written Frisco ISD policy or for that district that students from other schools cannot go and visit or sit under tents visiting with other students? I don't recall saying anything about a written policy, no. I just want to make that clear. I thought that's what you might have been saying. You are talking more about that. Wait, you are talking more. That's about track culture from your experience. Is that right? Yes, sir. So, from my experience, and I just want to make it clear. And I think I've been coaching track maybe 7 or 8 years. The reason that track tents industry is so lucrative is because that is how you mark your home base, right? Or your bench. It's through those tents. Now, the student athletes are familiar with track. That's your home base is your tent. If you are going to go to somebody else's tent, I guess maybe if you are invited or something like that, then what I reference is usually, we especially at Memorial, that's not a thing because of the co-ed and all the other stuff that's under there. You usually have a coach there in close proximity to kind of regulate that if one of our kids would. And I am not saying kids don't ever invite other kids under their tent. But in that case, usually you have a coach there to kind of help, regulate that and say, hey, you guys don't need to be under here. But is it not unheard of for a student athlete from one school to go if he has got some downtime to visit a student athlete in another tent? It is not the norm, is what I am saying. I ran track in Texas, and that's crazy. I mean, that was back between 1996 and 2000, but that's just weird. I don't see it. Like people know people from other schools, and especially at a district track meet. But yeah, all right. Um, all right, but if I know someone, say I'm there many, many years ago and I am a track athlete and I see my buddy at another school, but I have known him for some time and we are friends, I could go over there and talk to him, sit down for a few minutes, talk about things, and then get up and leave, correct? Now, if you personally want to do that, sure, you can make that decision. But my job as a coach is to make sure that our student athletes, as well as our coaches, know that that's not acceptable. Okay, it's sorry, go ahead. And that's your policy. There is other coaches that may be fine if, hey, if you got a friend that wants to come over for a couple of minutes and say hi, that's fine and can sit there, but not all day. From my experience at Frisco ISD, that does not fly. With the coaches that I talk to, the track and field coaches, that's why we all have coaches in close proximity to the tent. And I'm not specifically just speaking to knowing people who are there. I am going back to the valuables. That's the co-ed. It's, if I'm being blunt, most track athletes, maybe exclude young freshmen who are coming in. These guys are well in shape. The stuff that they wear is aerodynamic, really small and tight. You have got young kids, not enough coaches, a ton of kids, not enough eyes. So you are trying to control all of those. The valuables, the snacks, anybody could just walk by and grab snacks if you don't have a coach there, or just the intermingling between boys and girls at the track meet. But depending on the coach or depending on the students, you do see students either briefly or in a few minutes talking to their friends in other tents, don't you? Yes, sir. That happens. Yes, sir. Your personal preference yourself is you don't want any other students under your tent. Yes, as been described to me by my AD. Yes, sir. And AD is the athletic director. All right. And I'm just talking about your own personal belief. I don't. And then he said, that's your opinion, correct? That's what you testified. It's not an opinion. I just do what is told to me. So I just want to follow the rules and be verbally in line with our athletic director. So that's your athletic director's position and what he told you. Yes. And you said that you have got co-ed girls and boys under the tent. Is that right? Yes, sir. Did you have girls under the tent on that day? Yes, sir. Okay. And you want to have coach around to kind of regulate that, right? Yes, sir. And sometimes boys act different in front of girls, don't they? Yes, sir. They like to talk to girls. Sure, yes, sir. And sometimes if they get in arguments, they don't like to be embarrassed in front of girls, do they? Yes, sir, absolutely. Okay. Now, did you know that Centennial did not have a tent that day? No, sir, I didn't know that. All right. You told the jury about the previous track meet. I believe that was at Lobo Stadium. Is that right? Yes, sir. Is that stadium in Wiley? Lobo is in Little M. Little M? Yes, sir. And that was the track meet on March 22nd of that year. Is that right? I believe so, if it was that previous meet. That's the meet where Austin and Hunter and some others throwers had left early after their event. Is that right? Yes, sir. That didn't sit well with you as a coach. No, sir. Because even though, like, the throwers may have their events in the morning, they may be over. You want them to stay and support the jumpers and the sprinters and that type of thing. Yes, sir. And specifically to that, throughout the track season, different kids were allowed to leave early. But I'm just asking questions about why you were angry that day, not what happened at other ones. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, but why you sent that text to Hunter and Austin, Metcalf, and some others, is that right? That's why I had Coach Bass text the throwers because he is the head coach. Mr. Shook. Okay, may I see States Exhibit 27, please? Now, you said that are upset that happened, and so you kicked him off the team. Is that right? Yes, sir. Do you recall telling Detective Adams on April 16th? What you were really doing was pretending to kick him off the team? Yes, sir. So you really didn't have an intent to permanently kick him off the team. It was, I am going to tell him this, and it is a way to get their attention. Yes, sir. It was going to be a teaching point for you. Yes, sir, absolutely. And that's the kind of things coaches do, right? Yes, sir. You want to motivate the athletes. Yes, sir. And sometimes if you think the athlete is messing up, you want to get his attention. Yes, sir. And in this case, what you did is had an assistant coach send a text, let him know you were angry and that you were going to be kicked off the team and not going to district. Is that right? Yes, sir. And your intent there was to get their attention, knowing that an athlete, you have got a lot of pride, don't you? I would need clarification for that. Well, you were an athlete, correct? Yes, sir. You took great pride when you played on teams, so your abilities and team's abilities, right? Well, yes, but I don't. Pride had nothing to do with that text. That the text was about not being vertically aligned with what we are doing. I didn't ask you that either, coach. I'm just trying to keep my questions really simple. Okay, you were trying to motivate Austin and Hunter and some other athletes, correct? I don't know if motivate is the word I would use, but I think you hit the nail on the head when you said teach them a lesson. Yes. Get their attention and teach them a lesson? Yes. And when an athlete who you would say Austin was a team leader on the track team, would you not? Austin is the football captain, and so he is just the leader. I guess I need clarification. You say a team leader, he is just the leader overall, just in our program. Well, you brought up football. You are a linebacker coach, correct? Yes, sir. He is a captain on the football team. Yes, sir. And obviously, he's a leader of the football team. Yes, sir. And getting to that, Austin was a good linebacker. Yes, sir. Hunter was a good linebacker. Yes, sir, absolutely. And as linebackers, what position did you play in football? I was a receiver. Okay, linebackers are big. Yes, sir. I know this is common sense stuff, but how much do you think Austin weighed back in April of 2025? I couldn't tell you. Over 200? Like, I don't know his weight, so I can't tell you specifically, but I think that I know he played the season at 195, and I know he wanted to get to 220. That was really a lot of weight. I know we were trying to put on weight. Now, he did gain weight. We may have approached 220, but I can't tell you specifically how much he weighed. But if you want to say over 200, yes, sir, absolutely. Strong? Yeah, yes, sir. A lot of muscle? Yes. And to be a good linebacker, you have to be strong. Yes, sir. You have to be fast. Yes, sir. And you have to be able to make contact. That's what football is all about. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And he was a passionate football player? Yes, sir. Would you say the same thing about Hunter? Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right. Athletes generally don't like to disappoint their coaches. Yes, sir, absolutely. And do you feel like Austin, did he feel like he disappointed you when he received that text? Yes, sir. We had talked, and yes, he was disappointed in himself. Yes, sir. All right. And we've gone over that text, the text you sent that morning, and you said you and blank. Who is blank? Blank is our other varsity thrower. His name is blank. He is the son of the thrower's coach. I mean, he is the son of the blank. Well, the son of the thrower's coach. I need to look that up. You said get the tent, whatever else we need. Set examples of how to conduct yourself today. Be a leader. I need you in blank to hold this down. Hold this down. That's all the direction you gave them, correct? Yes, sir. But this comes on the tail of the previous track meet when you are disappointed with Austin, so you were going to give him this opportunity to be a leader and hold things down. Yes, sir. And he had time. I think there was a couple of weeks between those track meets. Now, you said you were short a coach, I think. Is that right? Yes, sir. There are a lot of other coaches walking around, though, at track meets. I mean, you do have adults there, you have coaches from other teams walking around. Yes, sir. Generally, as you say, someone usually likes to stay in proximity of a tent or their team, that type of thing. I need to be just a little bit more specific. Usually, you want a coach to stay near where everyone is hanging out in the tent, that type of thing. Yes, generally, you're going to want one of the coaches to be in close proximity. But there is also going to be coaches from other teams that are going to be near your tent or near your athletes at all time. Well, athletes all during the meet, correct? Yes, sir. Okay, you certainly didn't tell Austin that you wanted him. If any other athletes, student athletes came from other schools to forcefully throw them out of the tent, did you? No, sir, not at all. You would never want one of your athletes to use physical force on someone else. That does not vertically align with what we do. No, sir. And if there was a problem under the tent, there would be coaches there that someone could go get and get their attention that might could handle the situation or interject themselves in the situation. Yes, sir. All right. So you weren't under the tent, obviously, when this happened. No, sir. But there were a lot of your athletes were there. Yes, sir. More than 15, would you say? Yeah, I believe so. As I recall, I think when it started to look like it was going to rain, I believe only two of our athletes went back to the bus before everybody started to transition back, but most of the team stayed. All right. How many are on your team? I couldn't recall, but I know that year we cleared 40 on the boys' side. I know we cleared 30 on the girls' side. I can't I can't give you this well it must be give. I can't give you the specific number right now. I would have to go back and look. Did you have other athletes coming in the other buses later on? Yes, sir. But you probably at least had about 20 athletes there in the morning. I can't recall. I can't recall. All right. You told the jury earlier that obviously you like to have a coach around because these are young people. They have got hormones. Yes, sir, absolutely. We have already talked about co-eds, girls and boys. Obviously, you want to keep an eye on that. Yes, sir. You also have got young, strong athletes that have got a lot of testosterone when it comes to boys, correct? I think that's subjective. It's just boys and girls. Yes, sir. Okay, but boys can, if they get into arguments, things like that, when they are in front of their friends, can blow up on each other, can't they? I think anybody, boys or girls, can blow up. Being a track coach for so long, I've seen ladies argue over boys at track meets, so I think that's not exclusive to anyone, I think. Is it just is it a thing we see in teenagers, correct? Teenagers with wide range of emotions, yes, sir. I'm going to ask you some questions about after you had seen that something was going on. You ran to the tent and then ran on the field and encountered Carmelo Anthony. Yes, it wasn't necessarily on the field. I haven't asked a question yet. I was just giving you an idea of where I was going. Sorry. You said on direct that Carmelo looked different. You said he was cleaned up. I said he was clean cut today, meaning he got a haircut? Yes, sir. The haircut you saw in the photograph was normal haircut that some students wear, correct? Yes, sir. Okay. And when you saw Carmelo Anthony, he was on the track, he was walking around, or was he walking around the track with some other coaches? Yeah, he had one coach, I believe, to his left and one coach to his right. Okay, you don't know how long he had been talking to those coaches, do you? No, sir. You don't know what was said when they interacted with each other, correct? No, sir. Was one of the coaches Coach Harp Hooper? I can't recall that at all. Do you know Coach Hooper? I mean, it would be hard for me to recall that if you are talking about, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Coach Hooper is the coach for Heritage. Okay. And so when I seen Carmelo walking, I don't know if I seen Coach Hooper. I know specifically though the coach who told me to leave was a coach from Centennial because that coach came back and apologized. He said he didn't know that I was the coach at Memorial, but the second coach, I can't recall who that was, but there were two coaches. Yeah, yes sir. And you obviously didn't know what his emotional state was when he had talked to those coaches before you arrived. No, no, sir. Do you remember telling Detective Adams back on April 16th of 2025 when describing that encounter, you said he looked like he was about to cry, talking about Carmelo? Yeah. So after I said the what did you do, he just kind of looked hysterical, and that's when he said he put his hands on me. And you also said he looked like he was about to cry. I can't recall, but if it's in there, then it is what I said. Mr. Shook, all right. I have one moment, Judge? The court, yes, sir. Mr. Shook, thank you, sir. I pass the witness. The court, redirect. Mr. Worski, nothing further, Your Honor. The court, is this witness excused and released by the state? Mr. Worski, no objection from the state. The court, by the defense. Mr. Howard, no objection, Judge. The court, sir, you are free to leave. Thank you. Call your next witness. All right, so I am going to put a pause there and I will be back with part 3.